So everyone's on mute to start because we need to be able to hear and it can get loud with everyone. When I call on someone though, when I ask a question, just raise your hand and I can unmute you. So I just want to start by saying that this day of learning is dedicated in honor of our community as selfless medical professionals, and may our learning merit the Refuah Shelemah of our dear founder, Stanley Chera, Shlomo Ben Shoshana, and all those that have fallen ill. So the topic of my class is called The Four Sons and the Cycle of Life. And I'm going to start by bringing out what Shulchan Aruch writes. He says, in every generation, each person should feel as if they personally left Egypt. Bechol dor vador chayav adam lid'ot et atzmo ke'ilu hu yatsa mimitzrayim. So going through the Haggadah and being part of the Seder helps us to really feel what it was like being in Egypt and then how it finally felt to be free, ready to accept the Torah. Now we repeat the story every single year. Every single year, the same story. Why? Yes, to feel like we were the ones that left Egypt, to get that feeling, but also to recognize Hashem's miracles and his strength and the way that he takes care of his children. So the part that I'm going to talk about in the Haggadah is we just sing Avadim Hayinu. We just sang all about how we were slaves and we became free. And so we got through the whole story. And now we're reading Baruch HaMakom Baruch Hu, and it says, Hashem should be blessed for giving us the Torah, and then it talks about the four sons, and how we need to tell over the story to each of the four sons in different ways, because each of the four sons are on a different level. Does anybody know who the four sons are that we're talking about in this part of the Haggadah? You can show me by raising your hand, and I'll unmute you to answer. Okay, Margie.
We have Rasha, Tam, She'eno Yodea Lish'ol, and Chacham.
Beautiful, exactly. We have the Chacham, the wise one. We have the Rasha, the wicked. We have the Tam, the simple one, and the one that doesn't know how to ask. And so when you're thinking about these four different sons, I'm going to make the connection as a teacher. So as a teacher, do you think I can tell over the Pesach story to a 3-year-old the same way I tell the story to a 5th grader or a high schooler or an adult? They're not on the same thinking level. If I tell a story to a 3-year-old, I'm going to use props and act out and make it so exciting so they could really understand the story, right? But now for a high schooler, I'm not probably going to tell them the story in that way. They have more of a deeper meaning because a high schooler heard the story over and over again. And so we need to think about what the age is of the person that we're teaching about Pesach and keep that in mind. So when we look at one way to look at the four sons is to think about it as the 4 stages in the life of a person. I'm going to share my screen for a second because I want to show you something. Okay, here it shows you the 4 sons. It says, Echad Chacham, Ve'echad Rasha, Ve'echad Tam, Ve'echad She'eno Yodea Lish'ol. It says Echad by each son. Why does it have to keep repeating Echad, Echad, Echad? It could really just list the 4 sons. And the reason why is because we need to respond to each one in a different way. And so, sorry, let me just fix my screen a second. So the reason why it said Echad before each son is because each one we need to respond to differently. So now we're going to go into the 4 sons and how they could be compared to a stage in life. So let's start with the first, the wise one, the Chacham. He's compared to a more experienced man, someone who's older. They're full of wisdom and experiences that we can learn from, and they think more intelligently. So how do we respond to them? We could teach them the laws, the halachot of Pesach. We could go into detail because they could think that way. But now, if we think about the wicked son, the Rasha, right? He's questioning. He doesn't really want to stick to the rules. He only wants to do what he wants. He doesn't care about what a parent or a teacher says. He says, what is all this you're doing? And he's making fun of the seder. So how do we answer the Rasha? Well, did you know that not all the Jews left Egypt? Rashi says that 1/5, which is a small group of Jews, actually left Egypt because they were not deserving and they didn't make it out. And so we tell the wicked son, who seems like he doesn't really trust God, and we say, if you were there, you wouldn't have left either because you were not trusting God. So we need to answer him, but with tough love, okay? Because he keeps questioning. And so we're being caring because we're still answering him. We're not giving up on him, but we're answering in a strong way to show him you need to trust authority. You need to trust the people who love you. So we're not going to respond like the Chacham with detail and go into text and the laws. We need to be tough on how we respond to the wicked one who keeps questioning and doesn't know why we're doing things. And we need to answer him in that way. So far we can see the difference between how we respond to the Chacham, to a wise person, and then how we respond to a wicked person, to a Rasha. And they're very different. So now we're going to go into the next one, to the simple son. This son can be compared to a time in life when you're a child, you're still learning, you don't have all the answers, you're really curious and you want to learn, right? So how do we respond? We're going to open up the conversation. We're going to think, okay, this child really wants to learn. There's no such thing as a dumb question. Let's tell the story through pictures. Let's make it real. Give them the attention that they need. They're a child. They really want to know about Pesach and all the stories. But now I'm not going to respond like the Chacham with the laws and teach the child all about the text. I'm going to be simple, but I'm going to explain it the way that that child needs to hear the story. And I'm not going to be tough like the Rasha, because this child is not questioning the story. He's just asking and wants to learn. And so far we're seeing how it really makes a difference on how you respond to each child, because they're all on a different level. And then we have the one who doesn't know how to ask. So that son, that fourth son, could be compared to a baby, or like a baby who can't speak. They're the youngest. They don't even know how to ask a question. They don't even realize what's going on. So how do we respond to them, knowing that? We need to teach him the full story and open up his mind to what's going on so that he can then ask questions. We need to explain it to him. Maybe here we'll have props and we'll act it out so that the baby could, or the child, the little child could really understand. But we're not going to respond like the Chacham to this little baby. We're not going to respond the way we did to the Rasha, very tough. And we're not even going to respond the same way that we did to the simple son, because this babies were really, really little. And so we have to really think about their age and how to respond to them and how to tell them about Pesach and the whole story. And so you see here how every single son, depending on their level and their stage in life, we need to respond differently and be mindful of that and think about that. And so to put all together, why do we talk about the four sons tonight? Whether or not you're a Chacham or a Rasha or the simple one or one who doesn't know much, there's a way to connect and to teach every person. And we need to educate and teach every person according to their stage in life. So I have two ideas for you to think about at your Seder table. You may have family members of different ages. I want you to look around when you're at the Seder table and think about how you can respond differently to each one. And you can prepare from beforehand. You could print out pictures. You could come up with a play to act out about the story of the Jews in slavery and then they're finally freed. Put it together and be prepared to then tell the story to your entire table, who each one is on a different level. You could come up with you could learn a new halacha, because that one you could teach to someone who's a Chacham, or you can act out and that will be for the baby or the child. And that will help you to prepare yourself for when you're at the table and you have people all around you that are of different ages, and you can respond to each one appropriately. I also want you to imagine one day when you're a mom, and how would you answer your own children? They're all going to be at different levels and they're all going to be at different ages. And we really need to take that into consideration and think about it for how we would respond. With every stage, there are going to be challenges. But the goal is to trust in Hashem that He'll get us through each stage. And that's one of the themes of Pesach. It's emunah and trusting Hashem. I realized that I flew through this class, and it's 6:10, and that was my whole idea. But I want to unmute and I want to answer any questions anyone has. I want to see if I want to get interactive. Let's see who can name the 4 sons. Let's see who can tell me back what stage of life each son is compared to and how it ties to Pesach. So can we unmute everyone at once?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. And if it's too loud, then we'll mute and then someone will raise their hand and.
Okay, hold on. You see the mute all on the side by chat?
Manage participants, unmute all.
No,
Okay.
no, just one.
Okay, so now raise your hand if you can tell me who the 4 sons are. I'm going to mute everyone. Raise your hand if you can tell me who the 4 sons are. Wait. Liz, I'm trying to click on Lizette, but it's not letting me unmute. Okay, Lizette Hasni. Yeah, the Chacham, the simple.
Yeah, the Chacham.
Okay. You want me to call him?
Tam.
Right, so good.
Chacham. Lo yodea l'sh'ol.
Doesn't know how to ask. Which one?
Rasha.
Rasha, excellent. We have Tam, which is the simple one, the Rasha, which is the wicked one, the one who doesn't know how to ask, and the Chacham, right? All 4. Can anyone name at least one of the sons and how they are compared to a stage in life? So if we think about the Chacham, what stage in life would he be compared to? Barbara.
Lo yodea l'sh'ol is compared to a baby.
Okay, so you're saying the last one, the one who doesn't know how to ask compared to a baby. Excellent. And anyone else want to name another stage or another son and what it's compared to? So we have a Chacham. Let's think of a Chacham, the wise one. What stage in life would we compare him to?
He's compared to like adult.
To an adult, yeah, and someone who really knows a lot. They experience a lot in life, right? Exactly. What about the simple one? How would we compare the simple one to a stage in life? So that one was a child, right, who's really curious and wants to learn. And then we have the Rasha, the wicked one. Anyone know how we could, what's the wicked one like? Barbara, I'm trying to unmute you, hold on. Go.
To like the middle child.
Yeah, so what would the wicked one, is the wicked one very curious? Like, oh, what is this? How's the wicked one asking?
Like,
So the wicked one is kind of questioning, like, what is all this you're doing? Like, why are you doing this? He doesn't get it. And he's not really trusting in God, right? And so with him, we have to really respond and say, well, this is the story of Pesach. And not all the Jews left because they didn't trust in God, but this is what we have to do, right? And so how does this all connect? What do we learn from these 4 sons? What do we learn from all of this? What are we learning? How should we now respond? What do we need to be thinking about now that we know that everyone's at a different age and a different stage? Vivian, you want to answer? Okay,
You said you know the answer. No?
go for it. Go for
Everyone
it.
in a different way.
Exactly. We need to respond to everyone in a different way depending on their stage in life and how old they are, and really think about it. And what's something we can do before the Seder to prepare? What's something we can do before the Seder to prepare? Margaret and Terry. Margaret and Terry and Joy. What can we do before the Seder to prepare?
I'll make pictures.
Tell over the story.
No, say it louder. One more time.
No.
Okay. She said make pictures.
Yeah, you can make pictures. You could put on a show and act it out.
Ow.
Exactly. So there's really so many different ways to respond to each person. And that's what we have to think about when we think about each of the 4 sons, and we look at our table and we can think about how different everyone is, and that each one, there's a way to respond to every single one. So even if it's a little bit early, that's the end of my class. And thank you all for joining. It was so nice to
Thank you.
Thank you, Shal.
Thank you.
That was
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte.